Let's now discuss student absenteeism as part of the STAS submission. So, student absenteeism is collected to identify chronic absenteeism. And chronic absenteeism is defined as when a student misses 10% of the school year for any reason. So, if a student misses 18 days during a 180-day school year and all absences are unexcused, the student is a chronic absentee. If the student misses 18 days of a 180-day school year, half the absences are excused and the other half are unexcused, the student is still a chronic absentee. If the student misses 18 days of a 180-day school year and all the absences are excused, the student is still a chronic absentee. And the reason why is different than truancy. Chronic absenteeism identifies missed instruction. So it wouldn't matter the reason why the student missed school. The end result is they missed instruction, and that will impact their academic performance. So let's go over the STAS reporting basics. The STAS, or student absenteeism, is reported the entire academic year from July 1st to June 30th. STAS records are required for all primarily enrolled students and all short-term enrolled students. Also, every student in grades TK through 12 who attend at least one day during the academic year at each school requires a STAS record. So if a student transfers between schools in your LEA, each school must have a STAS record for that student. The STAS record features an exemption indicator, which will accept a yes or no value. Home hospital students, students attending only college classes, students who you report a single day of enrollment to annotate graduation, and adult age students with disabilities and transition services may be exempted. For any other scenario which you may have, please submit a service ticket. In red at the top of the screen, you see a note, STAS for NPS schools should no longer be submitted. So if you have NPS students, they should not require a STAS record. An exemption is an indicator within the STAS record. So again, all your primarily enrolled students, all your short-term enrolled students, all students TK through 12 must have a STAS record. If they fit one of those specific scenarios of exemption, rather than reporting attendance and absence, you would put an exemption indicator. So here are some basics about the STAS record. Exemptions are records that do not have attendance or absence fields populated. However, the exemption is indicated with a yes or no. STAS that have reported in-school or out-of-school suspension days are validated against the student incident record. In-school suspensions count as days of attendance. Out-of-school suspensions are days of absence. For emergencies and disasters, the STAS record should be amended in the expected attendance days. These days should not negatively go against the students as absences. So here we have a screenshot of what absence summary record looks like in CALPADS. If we have a student who meets the exemption requirements, we would indicate yes and populate zeros in all the other fields, all the absence and attendance fields. If a student has hourly attendance, you could indicate yes in this indicator as well. The expected attendance days are just that, all the days the student is expected to attend from enrollment to their exit. Days attended are the days of physical attendance, days that they sat in the classroom, or days that they were not absent or in an independent study program. So if they took online classes, but were not independent study online classes, they would still be days attended. Days attended in school suspension denote the days that student was serving in school suspension. Days absent excused non-suspension are the traditional excused absences. Days absent out of school suspension are out of school suspension. Those would count as absences. Days absent unexcused non-suspension are those unexcused absences. When Kyron was in high school, he was racking up the unexcused absences left and right. Incomplete independent study days are days in which a student was in an independent study program and did not complete enough coursework to earn a day of credit. ADA independent study days were those days that the student was in an independent study program, did complete enough coursework to generate ADA. And then last but not least, you see, last but not least, you see down here at the bottom, attendance recovery days. So attendance recovery days can be reported for your students, but they do not factor into chronic absenteeism calculations. So if a student has 180 expected attendance days, they have 170 days of attendance and a combination of absences for the other 10 days, and they make up all 10 days of attendance recovery and it's reported in the record. Those 10 days of absences are still reported and factored into the chronic absenteeism rate. We will show you the AR days, but they do not factor into the chronic absenteeism rate. So since it's new, we will look at some details of the attendance recovery program. So the AR days should be reported at the school of attendance where the absences occurred. A student can have up to 10 AR days per student each year at the LEA. The number of AR days reported for the student cannot exceed the total number of excused and unexcused absences. Absences due to out-of-school suspensions are not eligible for recovery through AR. Attendance recovery is restricted for students in grades TK through 12. Attendance recovery days will not be part of the chronic absenteeism rate as we mentioned earlier. And for more details, you can go to the attendance recovery FAQs in the CDE's web portal. So here we have a screenshot of the STAS summary and how your attendance days are calculated. So you have your expected days of attendance, days attended in person, days absent out of school suspension, days absent unexcused, days absent excused, unexcused, and excused absences, and non-ADA generated independent study days are all absences. So your expected attendance days, your days attended, and remember, your days attended in school suspension are also days attended. They get calculated to generate the absenteeism rate. So you can see the total days absent equaled 8, and there was 112 days of attendance. So the student was only absent or 6%, 7% of the time if we round. That's less than 10. So this student would not be chronically absent.